is just welcome to CounterPlay. I'm so glad that you're here. And I think that our most fundamental way of thinking about it is that when we're here, we're thinking of play as a way of life. So it's not so much the individual activities that you're going to be engaging in, it's a matter of reflecting upon how could this be my approach to life in general. And when people are playful, I think they're sort of better equipped to live in a world that is this weird and strange and complex. So I think it helps us quite a lot, also outside of just the joyful moments. And then I also think that if we could create a world that is even just slightly more playful, where play thrives even just slightly more, it would be better for all of us. So that's sort of our big idea, suggestion with CounterPlay, that we can change our lives and maybe we can also change the world in the long run.
Now this is the 5th time, but when I started it, I wanted to create a space where adults could take play seriously. I wanted to create a space that could combine the best from academic play conferences, where people are thinking very hard about play, and I wanted to combine that with play festivals and play events where it's basically just about playing. So I wanted a space where people could play and be silly, but where they could also have these conversations about why is play important, what does play mean. I still feel like I'm only scratching the surface, so there's still a lot to understand, but I have seen now so many different people with so many different backgrounds from so many different countries playing in so many different ways, that the scope of play, or the sort of the different forms of play that I've been exposed to, are enormous. Which means that if nothing else, I can see that there's a great diversity to play. It can look in so many different ways, which is to me a big part of understanding play. And to elaborate, I think one thing that I have learned by understanding play better is also to trust play more, to create a space where play is legitimate, where it's allowed, where people know that they can play, and then just trust it enough to allow it, to set it free basically, and then to see what happens. And I think in the end, the one reason is that I felt that play was important for me and in my life, and I wanted more play in my life, and I sort of took the chance that at least a few more people would agree that yes, play is important and we need to understand it better.
And this you will see, maybe not necessarily this, but something like that, you will probably see a lot of times during the festival that we have done a lot of work to make things work, but there will be so many surprises, because when people start playing, we can't control it, we don't want to control it, it's part of the point that we don't know exactly what's going to happen. So there will be a lot of that, and it's fine, and it's part of losing the balance also for us, but we'll find it again. And I'm quite certain that we will try to just go with it. Try to also embrace that play is agency. When we play, we're reminded that we actually have agency to do stuff, to change things in the world, to dress up in cardboard armor, fight right up here, which is one of my favorite photos. But there are lots of other ways to show, to remind yourself that you have agency when you're playing and that you can actually change the world.
Quite a lot of creative processes does not really become play. They might be playful and that's good, but I think even that can be hard because we want to control the outcome so much. So I think quite often creative processes are limited because of time constraints, because of wanting to know rather precisely what comes out of it. And as soon as you set play free, the creative process will explode and go in all directions potentially. So it's harder to control, but I would say that the creative process is massively enriched by allowing people to play more. And I think that's kind of essential. That's probably one of the most important things I have learned, that if you want play to thrive, you need to give it the freedom to do so. And that's where we as adults who want to control things are often having a really hard time, because you can't predict what will happen then. And that's intimidating also still to me. Let's just see if we can be playful also in situations where it might feel weird, like in meetings or conferences or libraries, or try to be playful in spaces and situations and relations where it's not expected, because the interesting thing to me is play as a kind of a life practice, just a way to be human. But I think the one thing is the feeling of being part of a play community that insists that play is legitimate for adults, so that they can bring that confidence with them home. And hey, maybe I can actually make play a part of my life, maybe even a part of my work. So it's there to a bigger degree in their everyday life. If they get that confidence from being with all these other people, that's kind of the most I can hope for, I think.
Play is participation, and participation is power. If you don't have agency, you don't actually participate, and it's not really play. When you play, you effectively change the world, and if only for a brief period of time. Play is not detached from the world, but instead provides us with a unique way to interact with it. To participate is to nourish our power, and in that way, our courage. CounterPlay is a perfect example of a space for nourishing our courage.
So in my work, I really like combining very theoretical, conceptual understanding of play with very concrete unfolding of play. And I think that CounterPlay community is a good way to really explore the unfolding of play, in my own, in a very concrete way with my own body and so on. And it always pushes my thinking. So you could say that the empirical exploration is a way to push your thinking in new ways. So that is why this is research as much as the conceptual work to me. When we go to the festival, we have to think about introducing or inviting people into specific playful activities that are not dangerous at all. So in a sense, it has to be easy to be a part of it, and you have to start by doing that, and then you can build up your courage through these very simple games. Well, I think this routine or repeating something specific is very important in order to create community. So you have to have some routines that you do over and over again, and you also have to meet more than once, in a sense that the community around CounterPlay, so now it's the 5th time, and you can really feel that this meeting over and over again is supporting the community feeling. Yeah. So it's about creating a safe space, and the safe space it's created through routines.
If anyone feels uncomfortable at any time, the door is always open. You're always welcome to step out, and you're always welcome to come back in. Whatever reason. We don't have to ask any questions about that. I'm available for any questions, etc. The people are more important than the game. That's a line that we use in the LARP community. So take care of yourselves, and don't feel obliged in any way.
I'm here to give a workshop. I want to use the idea of play to help open up a sense of liberation within people that gives them a identity within themselves that allows them to connect with each other and share with each other rather than dominating each other and rather than leading or teaching anyone. I want people to come to a place where they can be liberated enough to do that, to organize in a democratic way among each other. I have some text that I'll be sharing with people, but also have a series of games, and we're going to be making some masks, and we're going to wear the masks to kind of give ourselves a personality that is beyond our just everyday look. And I believe that that's one way that we can get ourselves to be a little more bold and be able to play the way that we want to.
I want you to talk among each other and think about some of the things that we've done this weekend, right? Some of the playful activities, some of the weird stuff, some of the exciting, exuberant stuff, and ask each other. And I think it's time that I need to ask you to let go of the mask making for a sec.
No. I think of play as a kind of a way of being, right? I mean, I guess they say that in the thing. I think of play as a almost spiritual thing. It's something that is a part of your life in every moment, if it can be. It's a part of my life in every moment. I think about how all creativity is a kind of play, and and being playful is a way that we can find a sense of freedom no matter what kind of environment we're in.
I really enjoy it. I think the 2 or 3 things that I really enjoy is that I have the feeling that in a lot of the workshops I get to experience states of being that usually I don't get into that easily. And that in between the workshops, the people are really nice to just hang out with. And I think a lot of times life is busy and noisy and loud, and I think there's a certain quietness or attentiveness with each other that it takes, and I have that here. I think to me playing is kind of looking at the rules of life that I think I need to operate with, and then slowly seeing how I could alter them or let go of them, or what happens if I find space beyond that to be.
So you can imagine that with these simple rules, children can come up with different games with this, right? So they can come up with a more competitive game, like I want to catch the green light before you do, right? So there are triggers for play, but they're very open, and you can come up with different kinds of games with it. So.
So it's the first time, and I'm really enjoying it. I wish I would have experienced the previous ones as well. What I really like about it is that people are so positive, and they're really willing to engage, and I'm really happy that I got a chance to feel that as well. So at certain other, you shouldn't speak bad about other stuff, but at certain other conferences, people are more inclined to be critical, and of course critical is good, but overly critical is sometimes a bit of a pity. And here people are more into trying it out and being open what you can do with something. So I think that's a very powerful and good property of the event. Yeah, so what I like about play is that it's very open-ended. So I think if you can come up with interesting directions in the play together. So if you can negotiate something you have a shared interest in, then it really works, right? So if you come up with a story, for example, if it's a bit fantasy play-like, that you can all step into, so to speak, then you negotiate and you change it, and people go along with you, and then together you are creative and you use your imagination, and then I think you really feel a sense of bonding.
And something strange, something is uncomfortable, so it's even something else. So our central question is, can all games be inclusive? Because some games maybe they can. As you saw, the first game is quite physical. So a person that can walk, and maybe if they're on a mobile chair, maybe it's different, but or a person who's blind, it's very different dynamic. How do you make that inclusive? Yes. Realistically, we know how this is, but also when it comes to games, often it's not just about a goal, because games are about having fun. So how can we have fun?
Interact with your friends.
Right, and maybe the game where it's a little bit competitive, people were going for the ball, people were trying to avoid the ball. How can this coexist in an environment where people may have less advantages over the rule of the game? Do we change the rule?
Actually, I have a project with Helle Skobjerg where we also examine inclusion and exclusion in play. And what I really like about that is that it's not so much that exclusion is bad, but inclusion and exclusion you could see as a sort of flow process. So we're actually exploring how you can design for that. And maybe being excluded a little while is okay. But as long as you feel that you can join in again, then it's fine. So as long as there's openness to join in again, it's okay. Yeah. It's probably also related to the intention, right? Yeah. So if you have the sense that other people are exploring you and there's no way in anymore, right? Then it's painful. Yeah. But sometimes you actually might want to be excluded for a little while. Yeah. At some point I had students who designed an interactive trampoline game, and the first version that they had, the children were lying exhausted after a few minutes of play. So he sort of discovered that he should design for a way out as well. So I think it's to do with the intention and having a way in again.
So you can act the way you feel it's appropriate for you.
Let's play. No talking, no talking. Let's play.
So play brings things lively, and it can be light and it can be deep as well, and both are enjoyable. But for me, I enjoy both instant gratification, if you say, but also delayed gratification, and I feel like the delayed gratification is much more rewarding for me. So yeah, that's my look on play. On the surface, it could be as simple as a game of tag, and you win, and both of you, if you're playing with someone else, then both of you either enjoy it together because you guys are chasing each other. So that's what I would say on the surface. But on a deeper level, it's the process that you go through and you realizing what you're doing, because I think it's very important for us these days to realize what we're doing. And if you start realizing and you find out that, there's a gray area here, it's okay. And I feel like that's also finding the point of saying it's okay is also very gratifying. So that's a little bit of the deeper level that I'm going through as well with my training. This is my first time here, but in the opening ceremony, they were saying that there's an uncertainty, there's an uncontrollable factor, and I think it's just staying open to all of the workshops and all of the talks that are going on. So I don't actually know. The paper says something, but movement and talks and other things say much more, I think. So I'm excited.
So first of all, tuning in, feeling how you are. Feel your feet on the ground. Then do it for like 5 seconds. Very nice.
My library sent me to learn and get new ideas to bring back to the library, back to Michigan. So I'm here to learn and take in all sorts of information and then go home and share it with my colleagues. I'm from the Ann Arbor District Library, and I'm a librarian there. So I work with our tools collection specifically, which is unusual items that you can check out. So sewing machines, guitars, ukuleles, musical instruments, some toys, lawn games, that sort of thing. And then I do unusual programs for our library. I'm fortunate because where I work is we're very experimental library, and we're very open, so we're often very playful in our workplace. So the people that I work with are super playful. I work with adult collections. I'm not even on the youth team. So I play with I work and play with really amazing people at the place where I work. So I guess you know when you're engaging with someone who's playing with you. So anytime that you have that connection with someone, I feel like that's another community connection sort of. I think there's a element of you have to feel comfortable to some extent, and whether that means being around people you're familiar with or being in a place you're familiar with. I think that kind of your brain that's always running and thinking about things and thinking about whether this person thinks this or that, it kind of shuts down when you're comfortable, and then you can be more open and free, I think. So when you're making things for other people, I think there's an element of trying to make them comfortable in the game that you've created, whatever that is. Some people just aren't going to be comfortable putting themselves out there, and I don't think that you can forcing that on people makes it not playful to me. Yeah. So.
Know me, oh, oh. Know me, yeah, yeah. Know me, oh, know me, yeah.
Know me, oh, know me, yeah.
Know me, oh, yeah.
Know me, oh, yeah.
Okay, let's do the whole thing with all the words. Ready? And Yeah.
No me, oh, no me, yeah. No me, no me, oh, yeah. No me, oh, oh. No me, yeah, yeah. No me, oh, no me, yeah. No me, oh, yeah. No me, oh, oh. No me, yeah, yeah. No me, oh, no me, yeah. No me, oh, yeah.
Very nice. Rather maybe just a little bit of self-massage in that case.
It's important to play because it's fun, but it also teaches you certain creative skills. You learn to actively doubt the world as it is. You can turn it into anything when you play, and you can just pretend that the bookshelves are castle walls or hiding places and so on, and that kind of thinking you can sort of transfer onto your everyday life and solve problems in new ways.
I think also it's a type of problem solving. So if your awareness is heightened and you're looking at the world around you, you often find solutions to certain situations where you think, if I am a bit more playful about this, actually I could do it like that. And I think it's a very positive way of engaging with the world, actually.
To return to the question about how creativity and playfulness solves problem in the normal day-to-day world, if you just have been told always that there's just one solution to this problem, you can go for that solution. That solution is very often money, that if something breaks, you buy a new one and replace it. And if you are creative, you can you examine it, you take it apart and you learn to repair it. Maybe you don't learn to repair it, but maybe you you know what it looked like inside, and maybe next time you're better. So it heightens your curiosity, and your curiosity then helps you become better at solving problems in other ways.
Self-massage. So the gnomes sometimes get visited by a really kind, magical stranger. And the kind, magical stranger sometimes gives them little gifts. I think you might be in luck. Okay, so I think I can hear the magical stranger coming. And he has a little gift for you. And I think that a nice way to receive the gift, if you want to, is to cup your hands and put them behind your back in a way that he might be able to put something in there like that. Okay. And yeah, that's good. And also, it can be nice to close your eyes if you like to do that. It'll take him maybe 2 minutes to give these gifts.
I think children naturally play because it's close to their heart and how they express themselves, and they don't have a job as such, so their focus is on how can I make this fun. And I think adults tend to forget that a little bit too quickly. So I think for us the challenge is to make people aware that they can be a bit more playful in their everyday, and that everybody can play, not just children. Creativity is imagination, it's ideas, it's stories, it's playing, it's giving expression to something in many different forms, whether that's through visual art or through communication. It can take so many forms. Meander around and you find the best suitable medium to express what your creativity can give you, so that you can invite others in and play with it or respond to it or notice it, make people curious.
And creativity makes it so that you get this, and this is
true.
more interesting than this. You get new stuff. Well, you don't need two 2-packs. You need one 2-pack, and then you need one speaker bite me.
Hello, yes, my name is Sarah.
Sarah, you won our premiere. You won the key.
I know, I have, haven't I? Isn't it fabulous? I've been playing this wonderful game with these two lovely scouts. I've always wanted to be a scout.
Which game are you playing?
Be careful, a lot of it is secret. I can't tell you.
No.
Ah, you can tell me. but like a secret. I don't speak. I don't say to anybody. Please say me. Shh. Yes, only to me. Shh.
Good.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I think we stop now.